So this is a video, man, as far as feelings are concerned, that I think a lot of us can relate to. But I told you guys before, probably a couple years ago on one of my videos, in my language, we got 4 different words for love. We got philia, which is like friendship love. We got something called storge, which is like family love, like parents for loving their kids. We got something called agape, which is it's like divine love, God's love in our religion. It's like the highest, purest form of love. And then you got something called erota, which is romantic love, passion. The first two can be either selfish or unselfish, depending on like the disposition of the person, you know, and like the circumstance and things like that. The third kind, agape, that is totally unselfish. That's the kind that only a few people ever experience that, because it requires years of, in most cases, what we call spiritual warfare, prayer, intense fasting, to totally destroy all selfish inclinations and become totally free, so one can experience that. Very few people ever do, and those that do are saints. But the fourth kind is a kind that a lot of people experience, man. And this kind, the romantic love, is totally 100% selfish. No matter what people might tell themselves, everything that is done within it, even seemingly unselfish actions, are only to maintain the other person's affections, so that one can continue to experience whatever contribution that person is making to one's own self-concept or ego or whatever it might be. Psychologically, when you break it down, it's all selfish. We got to be honest with ourselves, man. A lot of times that emotional satisfaction is really at its core an ego trip over a feeling of possession over this person. This other person wants me. You know, this other person gets emotionally high off of me. And so I have some measure of control over this person. And that's an ego trip. And that can be very emotionally satisfying, but in a twisted way, you know. And this often leads to something that, you know, we would refer to as heartbreak. Because, you know, when whatever that person is contributing to one's ego or one's emotional equilibrium, or whatever you want to call it, when that's taken away suddenly in a breakup, you know, the person is left reeling. And oftentimes that quote-unquote love quickly turns to hate, and it quickly turns to anger, and that causes a person to lash out. Now, this particular case, I'm not inside this guy's head. I don't even know this guy personally, so I don't know what he was experiencing. But this guy is a guy named Adrian Soto, and he's a gang member in Chicago. Which gang he's a part of, I haven't been able to find out. But he was turning up on basically everybody that was involved with his girlfriend, okay? And this led to some very serious street drama. And unfortunately, one person who probably was innocent ended up getting killed. And another person got killed too. So now he's facing some serious time. And the crazy part about this is he wasn't busted after he had committed the first murder, allegedly. And then he was able to commit the second murder. And this was all revolving around his girl, as is so much of the drama that happens in Chicago. You can ask any of the gang members. We're not just talking about girls setting guys up. We're talking about the girl being the actual, like, topic of conflict, okay? I mean, she's like the actual reason these guys get into it. I mean, they're really getting into it over women, like, so much of the time. So anyways, man, some of the details of this, almost exactly 1 year ago, the story is being reported by CWB Chicago, shout out them. They said almost exactly 1 year ago, Adrian Soto allegedly killed his girlfriend's ex in a grocery store parking lot in Chicago. But even though the murder was captured on video, he was not charged with the crime until a week ago. So in the interim, prosecutors say Adrian Soto shot up his ex-girlfriend's house, killing a man that was sleeping inside. And he's now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and a host of other felonies. So on the afternoon of November 7th, 2021, a year ago, he rode along with his girlfriend as she went to pick up her kids from her ex-boyfriend, a guy named Nicholas Nerolewski, in the Mariano's parking lot at 3145 South Ashland. Okay, so Nerolewski arrived with his mother, and Soto's girlfriend walked across the lot to speak with them, leaving Soto in the car. So as they approached her vehicle, Soto stepped out he began arguing with Narolewski, and what exactly was said, I haven't been able to find out. But he then took out a gun and shot him 6 times in the face and body, killing him. So Narolewski was unarmed. He was 22 years old. Adrian Soto was 18 at the time. He ran from the scene. He dropped his gun along the way. And he went into an alley and he changed out of his hoodie. Police eventually recovered the gun and the clothes, and investigators determined that the gun that Soto ditched was used in the murder, which was captured on video. This is all on camera, okay? Now, during a bail hearing, it was revealed that investigators discovered gunshot residue on the hoodie that Soto was wearing and his DNA on the murder weapon. So, despite allegedly having video evidence of this to support their case, prosecutors did not charge him with murder until this week, and we're talking like a year later. And the reason for the delay is not known. So, why he was left free after doing this on camera is not, it's still a mystery. So the murder investigation was ongoing, and while that was the case, he allegedly killed another man on January 26, 2022, and was charged within only days of that. So why he was charged right away with this, and there was the delay on the other one. This is still a mystery at this point. But in that case, what happened was that he allegedly went on Facebook and he saw a Facebook live stream in which his ex-girlfriend was celebrating her birthday party with a new boyfriend and several family members. Now, here's the thing about the new boyfriend. The new boyfriend was one of his ops. And again, which gang he's a member of, I'm not sure. But the party ended and everybody either went to bed or left for their own houses, according to prosecutors. So while they were sleeping, Adrian Soto, after seeing his girlfriend with the ops, okay, like dating a new guy, he sent her a series of Snapchat messages. And in these messages, he told her that he had seen her cuddling on the couch with her new guy, who's a member of a rival gang. And he said that if he couldn't have her, nobody could. So that's not good, right? Okay, that's not good at all. I mean, that's time to dip if you're getting a message like that, right? And another message said that she and her new boyfriend would, quote, catch shots. Now, bear in mind, he had already killed the other guy, allegedly. Okay, so these are not just words. He's not just woofing, or at least you can't assume that. If he's already done it once and he's threatening to do it again, you got to take that seriously. Now, at around 2:33 a.m., Soto drove to his ex's home and opened fire, shattering windows and splintering a door frame. So he opened fire on this house. A guy who was sleeping in one of the bedrooms, a 31-year-old named Hector, was struck by a bullet and died. And this was a guy who apparently was totally uninvolved. So as usually happens, in these gangland shootings, when these guys shoot up these houses, they either hit nothing or the wrong person. Kids, old women, like they hit all type of people. So later that day, the police caught the guy as he got into a stolen car outside of his own home. Prosecutors charged him with first-degree murder, 7 counts of aggravated discharge into an occupied building, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon on January 28th. So he has no criminal background, and he was held without bail in January. So that was again like almost a year ago. Okay, but another judge also held him without bail on the November 2021 murder charge. So this has just come at this point. So I don't know if if they've been gathering evidence, but why the delay for this? It's a mystery. It's a mystery at this point, man. But the fact that he was still free, obviously enabled him to do that other hit. Now before we talk about him, let's talk about her for a second. Okay, and this is not to put the blame on her or criticize her or make it seem like any of this is her fault, because I'm not saying that at all. But again, this is for people who are going to potentially be in the same situation, and there are many in this city right now in this situation who cannot make the same mistakes, because blame and constructive criticism or correction are two different things. So, okay, after he killed her ex, at that point, you don't just want to, like, break up with him. Okay, if he's not in prison, I mean, if he's not in jail after that happens, breaking up with him is not enough. If he's still free and he's on that type of time, you got to completely, like, not only cut him off, but disappear as far as he's concerned. Okay, so any of your social media that he's following, you got to get off that. Like, delete it. And then if he's, again, if he's following you, even if you're not going to delete it, if you insist on keeping your Facebook, whatever, at the very least, like, don't, show your new man or, like, your relatives or anybody else that this guy could potentially harm. Going live on Facebook, going live on Instagram, when you got a guy like this, and you've seen what he's on, after he just killed your boyfriend, you got to completely, like, disappear from this guy's world, cut him off completely. When people keep you, like, hanging on, and, I know a lot of people listening to this video can probably relate to this. Like, when that ex keeps on, like, teasing you every now and then, sending you messages like, I miss you and blah, 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 or, just staying in contact with you in any way whatsoever, that's like psychological torture, and emotional torture, because if you're still attached to this person and you're, like, giving them hints that, there might be some glimmer of hope that they can get back with you someday, but you're not actually allowing that to happen. And then on top of that, you're showing yourself with new people or talking about new people and stuff like that. Man, like, you're just begging for something to happen. I'm not saying something this dramatic, but, like, something bad. Like, you're really playing with fire. Because people's feelings like that, you got to cut them off completely. And, like I said, disappear. Make it impossible for them to contact you. Change your phone number. Delete your social media. If you're talking about a guy like this that was your ex, that's on some murder stuff, I would probably move too if I could. Definitely. I would definitely probably try and move, because if he knows where you stay at, he could keep coming around. I've seen that happen many times. So yeah, you wanna go somewhere else if you can. I know not everybody can, but and then, like I said, don't let him know where you're at, know your social media, nothing. Make sure that your name is not publicly listed. Like, you definitely want to completely disappear. And like I said, if you can't do that, at the very least, stay off social media, and don't let him see your new life, whoever it is that you've got now, and, keep all that a secret. It's a good idea to keep that stuff a secret anyway. And then the second mistake is a much more obvious one, and that is to not date gang members. Okay, so she was dating him, and then she left him and dated another gang member. Dating gang members, I mean, this is something I've said a million times. Again, you're playing with fire. Okay, you're in this stuff, as they say. Like, you're basically part of it. I mean, you're caught up. Like, you're not necessarily about that life, but, like, you might as well be, as far as, being a target, because, like, now you're part of this. You're dating them. So just by default, like, guilt by association, that's very real here. So those two mistakes she made, and, anybody else that can think of anything in the comment section, feel free to write that. But then, his mistake, and anybody who, has somebody that leaves them for somebody else, if they don't cut you off, you got to cut them off. Just stop talking to them. And, that's a tough decision to make, but you have to see hope that they're going to get back with you someday. Like that can drive you nuts. Like hope can drive you insane. You got to know when to give up hope on certain things. Hope is good in certain contexts, but hope can also, for certain things, be bad. And for this type of thing, that's highly unhealthy. You got to just give it up and walk away. And don't allow yourself to second guess that decision. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Like, first of all, when you're looking for somebody, the goal should be to get married. That's my personal opinion. So, if that's your goal, somebody leaves you for somebody else, okay, just move on to the next one, bro. There's plenty of fish out here, man. But then, again, too, if you're in a gang, that's not the time to be doing nothing where you could have kids, because to me, being in a gang and having kids, to me, that's a form of child abuse. Just being in a gang when you've got kids, and this guy, it didn't say that he had any kids, but if you're gonna have kids, or you're in a relationship where you could have kids, to me, that's child abuse, man. Like, while you're gang banging, you got to drop that flag, 100%. Like, before you do any of that, drop that flag, because your son, your even maybe your daughter is gonna follow in your footsteps, and you don't want that for them. Like, you really don't. And even if you tell them not to do that, just having that energy around them is going to influence them to do that. So, yeah, that's an abusive thing to do to one's kids, to be gangbanging and have that culture around them in the house. I mean, they're going to be exposed to that enough in the neighborhood and on the block. To have that in the home, man, you don't want that for your children if you love them. And not everybody does, sadly. Your boy Winnie C. Report. I'm out.